Ethan, would you suggest the Job Guide 360 guide for candidates getting ready for interviews?
Yes, without a doubt. It is well structured and makes preparation straightforward.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the career playbook for a super critical role in tech, the IT program manager or IT PM. And, this role, it's way more than just managing projects. It feels like it's about directing the business itself sometimes.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, the ITPM is kind of the architect overseeing and coordinating, multiple IT projects all linked together, happening at once.
Right.
They're the ones making sure every single initiative, whether it's like a database migration or some big new customer app, actually lines up with the company's main business goals.
Okay.
So we're digging into how they juggle all the constraints, people, money, time, and how they handle those big enterprise risks to deliver real measurable value.
And we pulled together some fascinating source material for this. It's basically like a masterclass in how top companies actually interview IT PMs, from the entry-level associate right up to the VP of IT programs. And we're not just listing questions. We're trying to break down the specific framework, the how you need to answer effectively at each stage.
Yeah, that's the goal. Our mission today is really to distill the methodologies, the metrics, the kind of mindset you need to climb this ladder.
Okay.
We want to show you the different tools you need for those more hands-on roles versus the kind of high-level thinking required for executive leadership.
All right, let's start at the beginning then. The foundation. Associate and manager IT PM roles. Here, it seems the focus is all about execution, being resilient, solving problems right now.
Pure execution.
And the sources say the biggest challenge here is handling competing priorities.
Oh, absolutely. That's the daily grind, right? You've got maybe essential background work like internal security stuff.
Stuff nobody sees but is crucial.
Exactly. Competing directly with the shiny new feature everyone wants, like a customer-facing app.
Right.
So if you're interviewing for that kind of role, you absolutely need a clear, proven way to handle that pressure.
So when those priorities clash, budget's tight. What's the one tool the sources really highlight for making clear, defensible choices?
Okay, this is where the RCI matrix comes up again and again. It's just invaluable.
RCI, responsible, accountable.
Consulted and informed.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally a transparency tool. It lays out exactly who owns the decision, who does the work, who needs input, and who just needs to know what happened.
And that kind of takes the politics out of it, doesn't it?
Of it.
A bit.
It really helps. If the matrix says the product owner is accountable, well, the ITPM is just following the agreed process. They're not making some arbitrary call.
Right, you're enforcing the framework.
Precisely. And that transparency, it manages expectations, which honestly is half the battle in program management. If you can point to a structured process, you usually reduce conflict. The sources mentioned Fujitsu as an example, where using this kind of clarity let them deliver necessary system upgrades on time, and get this, it led to a 30% increase in both efficiency and customer satisfaction.
Wow, 30%. That's huge. But how does an associate ITPM, say, actually measure that? Is that survey data, or are we talking hard metrics?
It's usually a mix. You need to be able to explain the system you use to track it, right?
Yeah.
That 30% might be maybe fewer support tickets plus better customer feedback scores.
Okay.
The key thing is your interview answer has to connect the tool like Orpheus AI directly to a number, a quantifiable business improvement.
Got it. And when things go wrong, because they always do an IT program,
Always.
the sources recommend using the STAR method for those behavioral questions.
Yeah, standard advice, but really effective. Situation, task, action, result.
Right.
It forces you to structure your story around a real challenge and, critically, the measurable outcome of what you did.
Okay, give us an example.
Well, look at the NEC case study mentioned.
Yeah.
They hit major technical delays, happens all the time, can kill a project. But instead of just, blaming scope creep or whatever, they adapted. The ITPM didn't just tell people to work harder.
What was the action?
The action was specific. Implementing Agile methodologies mid-project and strategically reallocating resources, that shows flexibility.
Okay, and the result?
That adaptability was key. They finished the project 2 weeks ahead of the revised schedule.
Ah, important qualifier. Revised schedule.
Yes, and they got a 20% increase in user adoption. So at this foundational level, the message is clear. Show you can manage the process, adapt fast, handle conflict constructively, and deliver results measured in real numbers like adoption or efficiency.
Okay, that really sets the stage. So once you've mastered execution, the next big ongoing challenge is strategic alignment. How does the ITPM make sure all this great execution is actually hitting the right business targets?
This is the thread that runs through the whole career path, really. Everyone from associate to VP gets asked about this.
The answers need to be different, right?
Oh, completely different. The required complexity just scales dramatically with seniority.
So for the junior roles, associate, maybe manager, the goal is translation.
Exactly. Translation. Our sources point to the Hitachi model. There, the ITPM ran focused workshops with senior management.
Okay.
The aim was to really understand the high-level strategic stuff, like, are we trying to expand market share, cut costs, and then translate those big ideas into specific project goals and KPIs that you can actually track.
Makes sense.
And that translation work, it kept projects relevant. The result they cited was a 15% increase in overall project success rates.
15%, not bad. But then as you climb higher, manager, director, VP, just running a workshop isn't enough anymore.
Right. Your alignment tool has to become part of the organizational structure itself. It can't be a one-off.
So what does that look like? This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Yeah, it does. For these mid to senior levels, the expectation shifts from just translating strategy to actually governing it.
Governing, okay.
So the key strategy becomes setting up something like a cross-functional steering committee. You bring in key business leaders, finance, marketing, operations, the people with the budget, and the business insight.
So the ITPM isn't just asking for buy-in anymore.
No, they're building a permanent structure. This committee meets regularly, reviews the entire IT roadmap, and adapts it constantly as the business changes.
And the metrics change too.
Absolutely. You're not just talking project completion rates. You're measuring impact on core business KPIs, organizational performance.
Like the examples we saw. Dell getting a 30% jump in operational efficiency after a big infrastructure project.
Exactly. That's a number the COO cares about. Or Singtel using their cloud strategy to cut operational costs by 15%.
That's finance language.
Right. It's C-suite value. So, just to sum up the difference, the associate ITPM translates the existing strategy into tasks.
Oh.
The VP designs and leads the governance structures, those steering committees that integrate IT strategy with the overall corporate strategy. It's a whole different level of influence.
Yeah, they're architecting the decision pipeline itself, not just feeding projects in.
Yeah.
Okay, but what happens when projects get huge? These massive multi-system programs.
Yeah. That takes us into advanced leadership, senior and lead ITPM territory. Now the challenge is managing serious complexity, maybe across multiple legacy systems, high stakes.
So when you're asked about managing these monsters, just saying Agile or Waterfall isn't going to cut it.
Definitely not. You have to explain the methodology you chose, sure, but crucially, you need a solid justification for why. Why that method for that specific program with its unique challenges and scope?
Can you give an example?
Think about the Infosys case study. They were integrating multiple old legacy systems into one new platform. Super complex, high risk.
Right.
They chose Agile, and they could explain why the need for flexibility, iterative development. And the results were concrete. 20% better processing efficiency, 30% lower operational costs.
So they use the methodology strategically, not just because it's trendy.
Exactly. It was a tool to de-risk a massive transformation.
And it's not just technical complexity at this level, is it? People get resistant to big changes.
Oh, hugely. The human element is critical. Look at the DBS Bank example. They hit significant pushback during a digital transformation program.
So what did the ITPM do? Not a technical fix, I assume?
Nope. It was pure leadership. They ran stakeholder engagement workshops. They proactively addressed the fear, the resistance, the why are we changing things?
So senior roles are about managing the politics and emotions too.
Just as much as the code or the infrastructure, absolutely. You have to lead people through the change.
That ties into another senior skill, handling conflict within the team. The sources suggest framing conflict not as failure, but as almost normal, even useful.
Yeah, that's a really important mindset shift. Conflict isn't necessarily bad. The Tata Consultancy Services example is great here.
What happened there?
The program manager mediated a session between team members with clashing technical ideas, but they didn't pick a winner. They focused the discussion on finding the common goals underneath the disagreement, and they actually managed to combine the conflicting ideas into a hybrid design that was reportedly more innovative than either original concept.
Huh. So using the friction to actually create something better.
Exactly. Not just smoothing things over, but synthesizing a better outcome. That takes real skill. Emotional intelligence, strong facilitation.
Yeah, definitely sophisticated leadership, not just tracking tasks.
Miles beyond that. Senior IT PMs have to facilitate collaboration, use disagreement productively. It's about enabling the team to innovate.
Okay, let's move up to the very top then. Lead and VP roles. Here the conflict isn't just within one team, it's between whole programs, right? Fighting for the same resources, the same budget.
This is where the decisions hit the company's bottom line, big time. Portfolio conflict, as you say.
So for a lead IT PM, prioritizing between these competing projects, how do they do that defensively?
Needs to be systematic. The key strategy mentioned is using a quantified scoring model.
Okay, like a spreadsheet matrix thing.
Sort of, yeah. But a carefully designed one. It assesses projects based on things like strategic alignment, how well does it fit our goals, the expected ROI, and crucially, resource availability. Can we actually do this?
But using a scoring model, doesn't that risk just favoring stuff with quick financial returns over, say, longer-term strategic bets or necessary compliance work?
That's a very real risk, and a good ITPM candidate needs to anticipate that question. How do you weight the model?
Right.
Is ROI 50% of the score or 20%? Does hitting a regulatory deadline count as, infinitely important? You're essentially trying to manage organizational biases using a structured process.
Okay.
The Singtel example showed the impact. They made a tough call using their model to prioritize an operational streamlining project. It ended up saving the company $1 million a year.
$1 million. Okay, that's the language the executive committee understands. Now, final step. The VP of IT programs, managing multiple huge projects concurrently. The Italia Unibanco case had them juggling 4 customer services initiatives at once. What's the core skill there? Is it just being super organized?
It's less about personal organization and more about managing the entire communication ecosystem. At this level, the VP isn't checking Gantt charts day to day.
So what are they doing?
Their key actions were prioritizing based on strategic impact which project moves the needle most on corporate goals, and holding very frequent, maybe weekly check-ins with their project leaders.
What?
The goal of those check-ins isn't status updates. It's about streamlining communication across the programs and removing roadblocks, often organizational ones, that only the VP has the clout to fix.
And the result in that case?
Scale. Those 4 concurrent projects led to a 30% improvement in customer response times. Big impact.
So the focus shifts entirely.
Yeah.
The VP's critical skill is making those tough, quantified, strategic resource calls that help the whole company, right? They're like the chief risk officer for the IT portfolio.
That's a good way to think about it. Chief risk allocator, maybe.
Okay. So looking back across this whole journey we've traced, it's a really clear progression. You start with that foundational execution resilience, mastering tools like STAR for storytelling, RGI for clarity.
Right. Then you move into mid-level management, building structures workshops, then committees to translate strategy into measurable KPIs.
And you culminate at the executive level, needing those high-level governance structures, like steering committees, and sophisticated financial frameworks like scoring models to allocate capital across the whole enterprise.
It's a logical climb. Yeah.
And the one constant theme, the thing everyone needs at every level, according to these sources, it's quantifying your impact.
Absolutely non-negotiable. You have to prove your value.
Right.
Whether you're talking cost savings, efficiency gains, maybe reduced project risk, faster time to market, better user adoption, whatever it is, you need concrete, measurable outcomes. It's the only way to really demonstrate competence and, frankly, justify the investment in good IT program management.
Fantastic. That was a really comprehensive deep dive. Okay, that brings us, as always, to our final thought. For you, the listener, to take away and maybe noodle on, we've seen again and again how vital proactive engagement and clear communication are. You know, whether it's a write the eye matrix for a junior role, clarifying who does what, or a cross-functional committee guiding a VP's strategic decisions. Communication seems key to cutting risk and getting buy-in.
Absolutely fundamental.
So here's the question. When the stakes are incredibly high, maybe a crisis situation or just immense pressure for speed, what other communication tools or maybe more dynamic frameworks beyond the ones we discussed, like RESEI or formal committees, could an ITPM use? Especially to rapidly manage expectations and keep global teams aligned when things are moving fast.
Interesting question. What happens when the standard playbook isn't fast enough?
Exactly. Something for you to explore?
We'll leave it there. Until next time.
See you in the next deep dive.